8.3 is another review concept for this lesson. This is going to go back to geometry when we learned about circles and writing the equation of a circle. So a couple of key definitions. First of all, a circle is a set of all points that are equidistant from a given point, which we call the center. Okay. Any segment whose endpoints are at the center and on the circle is a radius. Remember, the diameter is through center, side to side. Okay, so if we think about connecting 2 points from side to side through the center, that's a diameter. Remember, a diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. If my centers of circles, the notation is HK, and any point on the circle is an XY. Okay, so there's your radius and there's your center. Now, the equation of a circle. And this is a formula you've seen before from geometry. Please note that the formula itself is subtraction right here and here. So if you put a negative number in, it's going to change to plus. The radius is always squared at the end. So find the equation of the circle whose center is 2, -5. So there's your h and your k. Your radius is 7, so there's your r. So you plug things in. X minus 2, the quantity squared, plus y minus 5, the quantity squared, equals 7 squared. Clean it up a little bit. X minus 2, the quantity squared, plus y plus 5, the quantity squared, equals 49. And that is all you have to do. Now, to graph circles, fairly easy. Plot your center. We're at 2, -5. My radius is 7. Easiest thing to do is count 7 up, down, right, and left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And do your best to connect the dots in such a manner as to make mostly a circle. Now, write an equation given a diameter. So if you're given the endpoints of the diameter, it becomes a multi-step problem. You need to, 1, find the midpoint, because this gives you the center, HK. So let's go ahead and do that and say that, and I'm going to call it HK, is going to be equal to 2 plus 2 divided by 2, 8 plus -2 divided by 2. So I have 4 over 2 and 6 over 2. And so my midpoint, my center, is at 2, 3. Now the second step is to find the length of the diameter. Okay, remember that's going to be the distance formula. And then I will divide it by 2 to get the radius. And then I will have the radius for my formula. And so my diameter is equal to the square root of 2 minus 2, the quantity squared, plus 8 minus 3, 8 minus 2, sorry. Eight minus 2, the quantity squared. So my diameter is equal to 0 squared plus, minus a minus is plus, 10 squared, which is equal to 10 squared square root. Now the square root of something squared is the something. Now if you take it out to 100, the square root of 100 is 10, either way. So that means my radius is 5. So now I need this value. Now I can write the equation. Because r is 5 and hk is 2, 3 from my first step. So if I go to the formula of my circle, which says that x minus h, quantity squared, is equal to y minus k, quantity squared, plus, equals r squared. Fill in this value, and this value. And so I have x minus 2, the quantity squared, plus y minus 3, quantity squared, equals 5 squared. Any cleanup? Equals 25. And there's your equation of the circle if you're given a diameter. Now if you're given a center and a tangent, okay, basically remember a tangent from geometry is a point on. So really, if you know the center and a tangent, you know the radius. So our first step is to use center and the tangent point to find r. And again, that's the distance formula because it's a length. And then you'll use the center to write the equation. And if it's tangent to the y-axis, let's think about where we're at here. If our center is at 3, 5, and it's going to touch right there on the y-axis, then that means 0, 5 is on my point. I actually can cheat. I can see 1, 2, 3, that my radius is 3. Now if it were here and I was going diagonal, I would have to use the distance formula, but once I graphed it, because pictures are awesome, I can see that from my center, my circle with a radius of 3 is going to look something like that. My center is at 3, 5, and so my equation is going to be x minus 3, quantity squared, plus y minus 5, quantity squared, equal to 3 squared. X minus 3, quantity squared, plus y minus 5, quantity squared, equals 9. And that is our equation. Now find the center and the radius of the circle with this equation given and then graph it. So now we need to pull the information out. And one thing I like to do is write the formula right underneath my equation. So let's start with the radius because that's the easiest. So if r squared equals 4, then r is 2 if I take the square root of each one. So there's one value I need. If I start looking here, h is 4 because the formula matches minus minus. But here, my formula doesn't match. So I have to think about this plus sign as minus minus 2. Now I have y minus minus 2, y minus k. That means k is negative 2. So there is my center and my radius to graph for negative 2. There's my center. Count 2 in every direction. and there is my circle. Now, if I want to graph an equation that is not in standard form, and standard form is this, that's standard form, we are going to go ahead, and we did this in geometry, and we are going to complete the square twice. We're going to do completing the square twice. And here are your steps. So you're going to get your variables on one side, your x squared x, y squared y, subtract the constants to the other side. We're going to group the x's together and group the y's together. We're going to complete the square to both the x's and the y's separately, add both those values. It will then factor into x plus or minus what's going to become h squared plus y plus or minus what will become k squared is equal to r squared. So all the constants will become r squared. When we factor after that completing the square, it always goes back into that pattern. So let's go ahead. This example right here does not have any constants, so I'm good. I need to reorder though. And so I'm going to have x squared plus 8x plus, and I'm going to leave a gap, plus y squared minus 6y plus, and I'm going to leave a gap, and that's going to equal, I'll move this all down here so I have room to write. That'll equal whatever I add plus whatever I add. Because my constant that I started with on that side was 0, there's nothing left there to add. So, right here, I take 1/2 of the b term, which is 8, so I have 4. I square it, and I add it to both sides. And notice I didn't actually do the math of it, and that's for a reason. Then I start over. Here, 1/2 of 6 is 3. Square it, add it to both sides. Now what I've done is I've guaranteed that this side will factor into x plus 4, the quantity squared, we get the sign from right here, plus this side factors into y, get the sign, minus 3, the quantity squared, equals 16 plus 9 equals 25. So if I think about my formula being right under here, it's clear that my radius is 5, square root of 25, and my center, HK, is at, think about this as minus 4, it's at minus 4, 3. So if I go to minus 4, 1, 2, 3, and my radius is 5, count 5 in every direction. Connect the dots, and you have a circle. Whoops, I missed. Mostly. And that is all there is in lesson 8.3.